Welcome, everybody, and once again, taking a look at Flyer hockey. Today, we're going to take a look at the year 2007-2008. That season, the Little Falls Flyers went to state for the fourth year in a row. They finished the season with 27 wins, 4 losses. They won the CLC for the second year in a row. They were 14-1 in the CLC. And they also were the number 1 seed in Section 6A with a 14-0 record. Before we get going here, I know we have one senior from the 08, that being Andrew Lange. And Andrew, just want to catch up a little bit with our viewers. What are you up to these days, and where are you at? Talk about family and all that stuff.
Hey, James. Well, thanks for having us. These have been pretty cool to watch and go back and catch up with the Flyer hockey, the history. So, yeah, I'm living down in New Hope. Down in the Twin Cities here. I've got 2 little girls, 4.5 and 2.5. Life's been busy with them. We've been getting the 4-year-old on the skates quite a bit this winter, so it's been a lot of fun.
Let's talk about before the season started. Graduation happens every year, but for Little Falls, graduation happened, but also there was a kid that was supposed to come back that didn't come back, that being Jared Fessler's for his senior year. I guess I want to get your reaction, your thoughts about that then and even now today. What were your thoughts and feelings about not having Jared on the team for his senior year?
I specifically remember the day that he told us. I think we had just played the scrimmage in Alexandria in the summertime, and then Nas, we were at your place, right?
Yeah.
Is me, you, and then Ben? Were you
Bo
with,
Ben
or Riley?
there,
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah,
Yep.
Bo and Ben. And yeah, he told us then, and we kind of expected it, but we were all pretty bummed because we had some pretty high expectations going into the season, and those expectations didn't really waver, but we missed him, and we would have loved to have him. And we still love him, so.
Tony, what was it like to realize that you were going to lose a big scorer for that year of 2007-2008?
Well, I do remember where I was when Jared told me, and I don't know if it was before or after he told the players, but he was either playing or umpiring at the ball field over here next to the hockey arena, and I can't remember what it was. VFW. It was I don't know. I think it was the summer, but he told me that I kept asking him, and finally he told me over at the ball field. So, but yeah, I think the same with Andrew. I mean, we were bummed out, but I wasn't not in favor of it. I just thought that you need to finish off with your high school, and you could always go to juniors after high school. But I know he was really wanted to be and go into St. Cloud as a true freshman. So if that was the case, then he was going to have to leave and go play some junior hockey. And at the time, when he went to Lincoln, I knew the coach. I had played with his younger brother at UND, but then that summer he took another job and they got a new coach. So, but yeah, bummed out, but what do you do? It's a decision that you have to make, and you make it and you move on. And we knew that we had enough players and enough firepower that we were definitely looking forward to the season, obviously without him. But once that happened, you can't fixate on just one person. You have to give your energy to the people that are coming back. So, and that's, I guess, what we did.
It did open up some opportunities for some kids, and one of those is Wesley Waytashek. Really gave you an opportunity to step up, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I came from playing a lot of JV the year before and dressing varsity, and then Jared left, and I remember going to the bus ride up to War Road, and Cooch pulls me up and says, "Hey, like, you're playing with Ben and Bo." I looked at him like, "What? Like, there's no way I can do that, right? Like, I don't feel that role." And him and Majurley were like, you're the guy. We're gonna try you there and see how it works. And obviously, I had a few hiccups there, and Ben was on me a couple times, and Ben was bad cop and Bo was good cop, and it turned out to work in my favor. So I can't complain too much. But it would have been cool to see what we could have done with Fest there. But yeah, it gave me an opportunity to kind of step into a role I never thought I'd be in.
It's kind of like a folk's tale here, or whatever everybody says. If Jared was here, maybe we would have won a state title. Do you guys still feel that way? Do you not? I guess talk about that.
Yeah, I mean it's hard not to think that. You take the eventual state champion down to the wire. If we had one extra guy with that same line with Ben, Bo, and Jared coming back, like there's no way to not think about that for forever. But we did what we could, and we were still really good. So I don't think there's any excuses. I think we still should have potentially beat St. Thomas and gone on to win it all. So don't really like to give up any excuses of not having a guy.
Yeah, we were playing really good hockey, right? I think we lost to Cathedral on like New Year's Eve or something, and then we didn't lose again until we lost to St. Thomas. And I just remember with that group, after that game, things just clicked as a group, and we were playing really good hockey through January, February, and into March. Obviously, if you have Jared, that's a dynamic guy to have on your team. But I just remember that group towards the end, we really came together and we were playing really good hockey towards the end of that season.
There was one game we had a hiccup against Cold Spring or Ricori or whatever, River Lakes, and Kucher skated us and he invited us over for wings, and Bo Hanowski said he's not coming.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah. Oh, Bo.
He was not happy with
That's okay. He probably played better after that. And he missed out on wings too. So yeah.
Well, let's talk about the season a little bit. Just a couple of games I want to touch on. First of all, let's touch on a game that happened on January 8th of 2008. And actually that game, you beat Alexandria 5-0. The reason I bring that up is because that was, Tony, your 200th win as a head coach for the Little Falls Flyers. So obviously I don't know how many losses you had at that time. I'm sure you're going to bring that up anyway, but
hey, Joe Hanowski's got 50 right now, so he's moving on up, man. If he can make it, but
yeah. as the players, for the players and you, coach, I guess 200 wins. It's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, I never really thought about all the wins and losses. Wasn't that important to me. When you get older, maybe, and when you retire, definitely. You count them up, and there's obviously some standout ones, but I don't think it was any different than the 200th to the first win or the second win. It was Alexandria, and a team that I despise. And we went through that stretch of losing to Fergus. So Fergus, or Alexandria, was the new Fergus to me. And anytime that we had an opportunity to throttle them or thump them, we needed to do that. So, and that's what I remember. I just remember going into the game thinking that it's Alexandria. We need to beat Alexandria, and we had the horses, and definitely anytime you shut out somebody, it's a good feeling also.
It seemed like every time we played Alec, Michael Spurl always really stepped up in those games. I don't know if it was a Spurl versus a Hemingway thing, Alexandria's goalie at the time, but he really always played well in those games, and we knew we had to beat those guys to cement ourselves.
I don't think in all the years that they faced each other that Michael ever lost to him. So, and there was, if you remember right, there was talk about him coming to Little Falls at one time. And I don't know whatever happened to that, but I do remember him thinking that at one point he was going to come to Little Falls and he was going to be our savior, and he didn't think Michael was very good. And I think that just kind of sparked Spurley a little bit. But I don't think he ever lost to him. So,
no, you guys never did lose to Alex when you had Spurl and Ned against Hemingway.
yeah. So awesome.
Talk about Alex, I guess. Obviously they're going to be your section final opponent, but just as Tony mentioned, you guys players, what were your thoughts of Alex, I guess, at the time? Like Tony said, that were kind of the new Fergus Falls, I guess, from the past.
I didn't really like him. I mean, we grew up. There was a rivalry when we were younger too. We'd either beat them or lose to them once a year. They always just seemed to find a way. But one of their better kids transferred to Breck and ended up working out for him here. But
Yeah, they lost a couple kids. Landon Olson was a kid that went to Duluth Marshall too, so they kind of got hit by the transfer bug as well. But they always had a good team, and they had Hemingway in front, and they knew how to play, keep games close, and they knew that Matt would keep them in games. But we just kind of always found a way to beat them, whether it was close games or 5-0 games. It was they just couldn't get over that hump of finding a way to beat us.
Was this the year that we played him at home and Hemingway had to have our Zamboni door down? Because
No, that was the year after. That was our senior
year
year.
after.
Yeah.
Okay. I do remember, that taking place and kind of sparked us a little bit, but we'll talk about that later. But,
Well, I think that they were probably one of the teams that were most similar to how we played, right? Because we were fairly physical, and we two-man forecheck and all that stuff, and I think they were pretty similar to us, but we just maybe had a little bit more bite than they did, just because they could never get over the hump. But I think that's why that rivalry was so big. They had some guys just as skilled as some of the guys we had. Obviously, we had a couple other horses that were better, but like they were pretty similar to the style of game that we were playing. So I think that kind of led into the rivalry as well.
Would you say that was one of your biggest rivals, I guess, obviously Andrew's senior year, obviously Bo Hanowski's senior year, Alexandria for the most part?
them and Brainerd.
yeah, Brainerd too. So
Yeah,
Well, I'm glad-
we definitely wanted to beat Brainerd just as bad as Alec, but we knew we were probably going to face Alec in the section finals. So you had to do what you had to take care of business in the regular season. But yeah, Brainerd was always that one team we were always chasing that we just wanted to beat in everything.
So should we talk about Brainerd that year? Should we?
Yeah.
Let's do that. Of course, the year before you lost to them 5-4 in Brainerd. This year in 2008, you played them at home. You were minus one person that's actually on our Zoom right now, and that being Ben Hanowski. He was out of the lineup. And I guess I'm going to ask a little bit, Coach Kuchar. You had a chance to talk with Jamie Pettit over in Long Prairie and told them about it a couple days before that you were going to be missing somebody. Talk about that story. Do you remember that story a little bit?
Well, I know that I believe it was mono, I think, right? Or
No, that was early in the year. This was,
earlier
I think,
year, we got
growing or hamstring, I think I had.
right. Well, I know that we were going to play Brainerd, and I was, yeah. I mean, like we talked about, it was a big rivalry, but we were going to have him on the bench, and yeah, that was the game that I don't think I coached that game, because I think Coach Hanowski kind of took over and had some real good things going that night, and yeah, he did a lot of coaching that night on the bench, so it was awesome.
He still does.
But yeah, good memory of that game, because anytime you beat Brainerd also, and then anytime you have your top dog go down and you're playing your one of your number one rivalries, you're thinking the worst, and it actually turned out to be the best.
So in the first period, you guys are down 2-0 in that game. Second period starts, you go on the power play, and the guy that wears number 10, who's on our video call today, Ben Nelson, scores a power play goal to make it 2-1. You remember that goal, Nelly?
You still on?
Is he still
Nas,
there?
your audio might not be connected.
Uh-oh.
That might have been the, I'll take over till he gets his, but I do remember there was a big picture in the, wasn't it the Brainerd paper of him celebrating, stick over his head or something. And I do remember that. I think that was the goal that he had scored against Brainerd because it was in the Brainerd Dispatch. I still got it somewhere. So
That's when he did the Archer.
yeah,
That was the Archer. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I remember
I'll
that.
have to dig that.
Wasn't it
picture
like
out.
a backdoor tap in and he did the Archer?
Probably. Yeah. Yeah, wasn't gonna miss. So yeah, funny. But I do remember that picture in the dispatch. So yeah. We
So-
yeah, the dispatch gave us a lot of pictures that year. So that was one of the one. I'll dig her out. So
Isn't that one of their biggest pet peeves? Is a little false kid on the front of the papers too.
oh yeah. They didn't like that. Yeah, the
So
Brainerd
anyway, Nelson scores the goal to make it 2-1. Then Zach Laird ties the game at 2-2. And then it was Bo Hanowski on a power play goal late in the period to make it 3-2. Then after that, you scored two more goals. One of the goals by Chris Sylvester, and then the last goal was scored by Isaac Berglund to make it 5-2. They scored one. You get an empty netter. You win 6-3. You got to be feeling good about the win against Brainerd after losing the year before up there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was a funny win too, because didn't at the end of the game, there was some undergarments that got thrown on the ice, maybe during one of the goals or something. Some lingerie or something got thrown out. So that was pretty funny in the locker room seeing that again.
Where did that lingerie end up?
Yeah, that's in the locker room probably.
I think I hit
Might
it.
be buried with.
Yeah, we were still in locker room 3 and 4 back then. So
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
What about you guys, Riley, Wesley, Ben? What do you remember that? Joe, what do you guys remember that game?
I just remember that it was like Joey Frazier and Drew Olson. If they had the puck, we had to be on them. They were kind of their horses.
Yeah, and it was funny because I skated a lot with Joey and Drew in the summer, and I ran into them to that hallway, and I just remember when they're like, "Oh, you're not playing tonight," and they got a little smirk on their face, and I don't think they were smirking like that after the game. I think it was a huge game too. Just they had a really good team, and we
Yeah.
beat them at home, and just kind of kept carrying that momentum for us towards the end of the year, giving us confidence that no one was going to beat us if we were playing the right way and playing like we could.
absolutely.
And Wesley, obviously, you had to have a different center, and that was Zach Laird. That was in that center position, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird, but like Cooch said, Ben was still in our ears, letting us know what we needed to do on the bench. And Zach was a good player as well, so he fit in pretty well, and we got the job done, and that's all that mattered at that point.
One other just really quick thing here. After that, you've had a few more games, and then you took on Sauk Rapids on January 29th. You lost early to them 6-4. That was the only loss to the CLC that year. You bounced back, had a 6-3 win in that game, and actually on the same scoring play. Ben, you scored your 100th goal, and your brother got his 200th career point on the same one. So that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, I forgot about that, but yeah, that's a cool milestone to hit with your brother. And I remember losing to them in Sauk Rapids. I remember they threw a chicken on the ice at some point during the game.
That was
Someone-
the year that. Oh yeah, I do
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, and I think Michael Sproul was sick, and so Michael Whitlow played, and I think it was after a goal they scored. There was a chicken on the ice kicking around.
Yeah, that was kind of a controversial because I think that there were some animal activists or something there that the next day we got interviewed with what happened, and kind of turned into the chicken got on the ice and it broke its leg. And yeah, it was kind of a rhubarb for a while there about what happened. And I think they got in some big trouble over the whole thing. But I do remember it now that they threw that chicken on there. Funny things.
Yeah, it wasn't just a dead chicken that you may
Oh, it
think
was
they
live.
throw an octopus in Detroit. This is a live chicken that broke its leg. I thought Kuchar was going to maybe take it home and put it on his Traeger after the
Yeah,
game.
that would have been nice.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Hey,
Hey, Nellie's back.
Yeah. I figured my stuff out too, finally.
Hey,
I don't know how to
Joe.
work a computer.
Got Joe too.
So the one question, okay, so you had lingerie, you had a chicken. What else? So were people basically, you kind of were like the people that nobody liked anymore because you won all the time now. So were people doing that? I don't remember all that stuff. What other things, I guess, kind of happened during the season that you remember that was kind of odd, I guess, from maybe visiting teams or even players?
I feel like going back to that Brainerd game, they maybe had to there was talk about having to have cops or some type of security to come in because of fans potentially fighting, like students fighting each other.
Yeah.
I
think that was that also was the year that I think when we went to Brainerd, there was a picture of their fans and the whole front row was giving the middle finger up, and it was on our video, and I think I had to turn the video into Brainerd because it was there might have been a fight in the stands or something. And yeah, there was all kinds of things that happened that year, and I remember that one for sure.
When
I think it might have been a former player, Cooch.
Yeah, might have been.
It was, I mean, we had been to the state tournament 3 years in a row, won a couple conference championships. And so I think after those 3 previous years, we had a reputation of being a good team and we're going to be good again. And so we got a lot of good crowds on the road and rowdy crowds as well. And
absolutely,
there's nothing better than making a rowdy crowd turn quiet towards the end of a game. And we did pretty good with doing that.
Nice. Well, obviously you ended the year on a nice winning streak. You beat Alexandria 2-1, Fergus Falls 5-3, St. Cloud Tech 9-7. That ended the season. Won the CLC for the second year in a row. Ironically, in that game, the 9-7 win against St. Cloud Tech, Ben Hanowski scored an empty net goal. That was his 5th goal of the game. Assists were to Andrew Lange and Ben Hanowski. And with that assist, Ben, that gave you 248 points, becoming the all-time goal scorer, I should say, for Little Falls, one better than Jared Fessler. So kind of a milestone there in that last regular season game for you guys.
And that was on the road in St. Cloud, I believe. We played him at the National Hockey.
No, that was home.
That was
Nope,
home.
That
home
home
game.
game?
Mhm. Yeah, that was a wild game.
Slap shot.
What was
Yeah,
that?
from the hash marks on
Andrew
the
scored
outside.
that big goal, the slap shot towards the end of the game.
Yeah, I think there was like 2 minutes left or just under 2 minutes, and I came down the right side, took a slap shot. They had a short goalie, I think a backup, and just snuck one in over his glove side shoulder for that one.
I do remember that goal.
Yeah, I remember it was, he put it into a very small hole is what I remember, Andrew.
yeah.
Top
I had my
shelf,
head
nothing
up the whole time.
Yeah,
just
nothing to shoot at and snuck it right under
placed
the bar
it.
to make it 8-7.
Yeah, I saw his glove hand just dropping down slightly. Thought I was going to go low on him, but yeah. But I do remember Bo's goal as well there, and then that assist because I think I came back to play with Ben and Bo at the end of that game as well, and I had blocked a shot, and I think I literally just like kicked it over to Ben, and he passed it to Bo, and Bo had the empty net right as like time expired.
Yep. I think there was a second left is what it was. So
yeah.
So you move.
Bo went and jumped into the glass, and
yeah. So you go on to the playoffs, and the number 1 seed kind of breezed through that. Morris Benson 11-0, St. Cloud Apollo 6-3 at the MAC. and then you get to go play Alexandria for a third time that year. I guess, Coach, what was your thoughts going into that? You've gone to state 3 years in a row. You're hoping to get back there. Your team's been doing awesome. What were your feelings going into that game?
Well, I think Ben talked a little bit about it, that we had gelled a lot towards that second half of the season. And that was always my goal, to get the kids ready for the playoffs, regardless of anything. So obviously you want to get back, but you're very nervous about, the game and everything that leads up to it. But yeah, I mean, we just wanted to play our best hockey. We all wanted to get back to the state tournament, and I think that was our main mission. And we had played very good hockey, and an opportunity again to play Alexandria, and we were a better team.
As players, what were your feelings going into that game, each one of you?
Yeah, I think it was, we had a target on our back and we had a goal. We wanted to get back, but we knew it was going to be a tough game because Alec had always played us tough, and especially, shutting him out earlier in the year, that it was going to be a grind of a game.
Okay, boys, it's all up to you. I got to go to goalie training. So,
Hey, Gooch.
Thanks, Coach.
yeah.
Good luck, Coach.
Yeah.
Thanks, Coach. So talk about the Alexandria game. Obviously, they jump out to a 1-0 lead, but it wasn't until the second period. And then Wesley tied it up. Jordan Gushik made it 2-1. And that's how it ended after 2 periods of play. Ben, you got a goal early on to make it 3-1. Then they scored to make it 3-2. What were you thinking when it was 3-2 and there was about 10, 12 minutes left of the game?
You're really making us dig deep here for.
I know.
Don't screw this up.
I don't
Yeah.
remember this one that well.
I just remember before the game, I just felt like our group was playing so well, and probably the best that any group had been playing leading up to a section tournament, section final. So I think we just had a lot of confidence, and we knew that Alec was a good team, but we'd always beaten them and found a way to get it done, and they took that lead. And I always felt that the MAC, when we played those section finals, that first period was always a feeling out process. The ice was always really bumpy and slow, and so it took us a while to get into it. But I just think the group was playing so well that we just had a lot of confidence even when we were down early.
Yeah, I remember being down 1-0 after the first. Like, that's probably the only thing I really remember. But I remember coming in the locker room and we all are like, "Hey guys, we got this. We're all right. Like, we don't need to panic. Like, we're comfortable." Like, that was a feel out. We're gonna come out and then we're gonna show them what we got. So that's the only thing I really remember from that game.
You
I
don't
think
remember
the whole year, our first period was never our best period. It almost like I mean, I'd love to go back and look at like goals in each period, but our first period was kind of like a feel out period, it seemed like. And then the second period, we really started pouring it on teams. And going into that second period, it was kind of the same thing. Like, yeah, we're maybe down 1, but it's like we got them right where we want them, kind of thing.
Yeah, we had I just felt like we were kind of dominating too, like out shooting them pretty bad. And then, I mean, Hemingway is a pretty big factor in that aspect, but I thought, like Wes said, I felt all the confidence in the world going into every period that we were going to come back and win.
We had a lot of depth on the 07-08 team and the 08-09 team. And when you have that depth, teams can hang with you for a period and give you their best shot. But if you just consistently stay to your game plan with the depth that we had, we knew it was going to be hard to hang with our team for 3 periods if we were playing the right way. And at that time, we were playing really well. And so 1 goal, we had a lot of firepower throughout our lineup to score. So 1 goal wasn't a huge issue for us.
So you had a 3-2 lead going into or midway through the period. Wesley scores another goal and he scores 1 more to finish it out, gets the hat trick. And I think that might have been the game that I might have deemed you Mr. Mac, because for some reason you just had a knack for scoring goals at the Mac, didn't you, Wesley?
Yeah, but come on, it's really easy when you're tapping them in the back door on power play. I wasn't taking the puck end to end, and and sniping the goaltender on many of them, right? Like a lot of them were be in front of the net, kind of garbage, greasy goals. So yeah, I did have a knack for scoring there, but they weren't all that difficult.
Well, little did we know that a year later you would probably have the biggest goal ever for the Flyers. We'll talk about that next time. But yes, a 5-2 win, your fourth trip to the state tournament. Fourth time there, obviously for a lot of you guys, it was more than, second time maybe. Obviously for Ben, it was your third time there. Talk about, I guess, getting to the state tournament for yet another year. And what was your mentality going into the state tournament, especially once we found out that you were going to be unseeded, which I'm sure doesn't sit well. And too bad Tony's not on this now, because I'm sure he'd have a few comments about that. But I guess as players, did you really even care about that or not?
Well, we knew that.
I mean, you definitely would have wanted to get seed. We kind of knew it was going to happen since we had lost to Cathedral earlier that year. And if you go head to head, I think they got the 4th seed that year, didn't they?
Let's see.
I'm
four
pretty
and
sure they
five.
did.
Yeah.
Yep, it was them and Blake. Yep, 4-5. Yep.
I don't think they seeded the 5th team that year.
No, they did.
I thought it was the year after that where they seeded. Then they'd
I
make
think they
the
always
5th.
did that.
I think the first time they did it with Hermantown, it was 4, and then they went to only 1 year of that, and then I think after that they went right to seeding 5.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, I mean, we kind of knew it was coming, but I feel like I remember my sophomore year going to the state tournament where, you're happy to be there. Like we won that game, but in the locker room pregame, guys are still doing up their hair a little bit to get ready for the game because they know they're going on camera. But that didn't happen this year. Like we went down there, we meant business. There weren't guys checking themselves out in the mirror before the game. Like everybody was at their locker, like ready to go. It was all business. We weren't happy to be there. We were there trying to win that game and win the whole thing. Didn't happen, but that was the mentality. We were going to go down there and try to win.
So you got the unseeded, and then you drew St. Thomas Academy. Sure, you're excited about that, weren't you? Let's talk about that game a little bit. St. Thomas Academy, obviously, they jumped out to a quick 2-0 lead. Then you come back with goals by Ben Nelson to make it 2-1 once again. You remember that goal, Ben? Nelly?
Yeah, I do. Zach Laird made a fantastic play on that. He went end to end, and then I got the rebound and just had to tap it in.
So there it's 2-1. And then late in the period, you score another one. This time it's an unassisted goal by Ben Hanowski to make it 2-2. The cool thing about that goal, or I guess I've had a chance to talk to you since then, is after that goal, he decided to skate over to the student section of St. Thomas and give him the old salute.
Right.
Talk about that, Ben. And I know we've had a chance to talk about that since then. And I know when we talked about that a few years ago, you said, well, maybe I shouldn't have done that. You still feel that way?
Yeah, maybe not. I think it fired him up a little bit, and we had talked about it before the game, potentially maybe somebody doing it. So it was a little premeditated, but it probably would have been better maybe just to not draw as much attention to it, because they were pretty fired up after it, and we just tied it up and had a lot of momentum. So maybe now looking back, probably wasn't the greatest idea to do that, but yeah, so maybe should have skipped that one.
Called the salute of death for a reason.
I just remember after that period, Kuchar came in and was like, nobody do that again, because state high school league guys came down and ripped him a new one.
Mm-hmm.
Know about it because you didn't take your glove off. And I'm like, but then the state high school league used that in the intro video for like the next 10 years.
Yeah, I remember Tony telling me that story, that I think at that time it might have been Craig Perry that came down to him and said, your players can't be doing that. And it was a mess. Yeah, I remember that.
I love that.
But yeah. Anyway, 2-2.
Yeah, it's the greatest celebration of all time. I don't know if you can regret doing that one. It didn't make us lose the game. That's for sure. That was. I remember you could go anywhere with Ben after that. Be like, oh, were you the guy who did the salute? Like they already knew who he was, but then they throw in the salute and they all loved it.
Did anybody talk about that to you, Ben, outside of the state of Minnesota? Did anybody bring that up ever? Never?
No, those out of state guys don't like talking about the state high school hockey tournament in Minnesota. They get annoyed of listening to Minnesota guys talk about it.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. So 2-2 after the first period. Second period goes on, and then Ben, you get an opportunity to have a penalty shot.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that.
Yeah, I don't remember what the call initially was or what it was, but I had that penalty shot, and I was going to go to my move I always do and fake the shot and go to the backhand, and I had probably rushed it a little bit in that type of situation. You always just would rather slow down a little bit. You're already going faster than you think, and missed on it, which would have been a huge, obviously, opportunity for us to what was the score at the time? It was still 2-2, right?
It was 2-2, yeah.
So it would have been a big one to get that lead. And after we got 2-2, I think we were playing really well, and it took us a little bit. We hadn't seen a team like St. Thomas all year. They had definitely seen teams like us before. So we were down 2-0, just kind of adjusting to a team with that type of speed and skill. So it was a tough one not to get to go, but I still remember us playing really well after, even though.
So 2-2, Ryan Walters then does score to make it 3-2, but Ben, you score in the beginning of the third period to make it a 3-3 game. So it's 3-3. Ben, I know you and I had a chance to talk, and you kind of said, St. Thomas was the big private school in the cities. You guys were the Hicks with the sticks kind of thing, is kind of what you had mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta have been fairly good about this game, though, being 3-3 in the third period.
Yeah, I think we were playing really, like I said, we had definitely had to adjust to them the first period or the first 10 minutes because we hadn't seen somebody like them all year. But we just been playing so well the last 2 or 3 months, and talked about the depth earlier as well. So we had enough energy to go get it in the third, and definitely could have gone either way.
Obviously, they scored the last 2 goals. They win 5-3. How devastated, disappointing, all that stuff was it for you guys, realizing that you're not going to be playing at the X anymore? You're going to have to go to Mariucci. You had a great game and you just couldn't pull it off.
They would have had to almost peel us out of that locker room. We were in no hurry to leave. Like, I remember sitting in all my gear for like the next half hour, 45 minutes, still just tears coming down. Like we were devastated. We had big goals. We really thought we had a chance to win a state championship, and they took that from us. They beat us, but yeah, that was a tough one. Even going up to see your parents after the game, they're waiting for you. They're just as devastated as you were. So that was a emotional time.
Anybody else, how you felt?
I mean, we were all pretty tight, right? Like we still are pretty tight, and that just like Andrew said, just kind of like ripped your heart out. But then we also knew we had to strap up for the next game and go out and play hard to try to do what we been doing all year. Never really had to bounce back like that after a tough loss in front of that many fans and that good of a team.
Yeah, it was tough because I think you have your goals for the season, and first and foremost was to get back to the state tournament, and you wanted to win a conference championship as well, and then just that ultimate dream of winning a state championship, and to have been able to beat that team would have been pretty special. They were a really good team. They were an incredible team, and I don't think a lot of people were giving us much of a chance, and I definitely think we gave them a pretty good scare and they didn't expect to be in a 3-3 game at any point that night.
I think part of the reason that one stung so bad too was those two classes were so close to each other, where we grew up and played all the way through, and then that was kind of the way it ended. That one was pretty tough, just because how close we were. I mean, Bo and Ben were brothers. Andrew and I drove to school every day. We'd all grown up, played baseball together.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
No, none of us were. I mean, I didn't expect to. I mean, no one expected to lose either. Yeah, we knew St. Thomas was good, but we thought we belonged there, and we thought we belonged with them. So I mean, I think that was the part. We were, pissed that we didn't get seated, and we were out there to prove something, and we had a chance, and didn't get it done.
We had a youth hockey coach who instilled in us in a young age that you should expect to win every game you go into play. And when you have that from 9 years old until you're 16, 17, it's a great skill to have in sports. And we always believed in our group. And I still to this day believe a group that plays together as much as we did has a huge advantage over a talented team that's been together for 18 months or 12 months, like St. Thomas, even with all the skill that they had.
World.
Well, and it might have set up for what your senior year was going to be for most of you guys too, and that amazing run that you had. But let's finish out this season, and of course you had to go over to Mariucci, and sure Tony loves going to the U of M to hang out there, and I'm sure you guys are really excited to go there. But had a very nice game. You beat a very good Blake team 5-0 to advance on to the consolation finals, and then you had a 7-3 win over Mankato West. And I guess the cool thing here is that you at least got to bring some hardware home, and also got to be one of the few teams to win their last game of the season. Talk about that.
That was, the goal was always, to win a state championship, but like you said, to win your last game of the season. And in my career, like that was a big time high. Like we didn't have to go down losing. We were happy after winning, accepting the fact that we weren't going to win a state championship, but winning and hugging your friends and parents after those games, with the win was a lot easier to do, rather than we cried because it's over, but happy still, what we accomplished. And going into those last two games in Mariucci, the year before, we went in there after losing to Hermantown, and we went 2 in barbecue. Like we got smoked, and just didn't put up a good showing. Is almost more embarrassing than anything what we did the year before. So, and we still had a chip on our shoulder. We had just lost to St. Thomas. We brought them down to the wire, but we had a chip on our shoulder that said we're going to go out here and just prove still that we're a really good hockey team. And I think that's what we did with the next two games, winning 5-0 and 7-3.
Was that the year Laird broke his wrist?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I just remember, I think the last year was a great lesson for us, because when you go to a state tournament, it's a great honor, but going 2 in barbecue is a tough pill to swallow, and tough when people ask about if you made it to state and how'd you do, and you lost 2 games. So I don't remember exactly who said something, but I think someone in the group or Kuchar said to remember what it felt like when we went and played Albert Lee that year and went out in 2 games, and we didn't want to do that again. And we had just had such a tight group. We wanted to play a couple more games together and play meaningful games. And so that the prior year definitely helped with that, and being like, it stunk losing to St. Thomas, but we still have something to play for, and something meaningful here that we can go and get.
Yeah, and what did St. Thomas went on to the next games, and they won, their goal differential was like 20-2 or 20-3 in the next couple of games. So it's like, we like to say that the moral victory almost of like it was the state championship that Thursday night on prime time, or Wednesday night on prime time.
So wrapping up that season, I guess let's talk a little bit about it. Obviously, Andrew, that was your last game. Obviously, Ben, your brother Bo, played his last game. Other seniors on there, Matt Inez, Zach Laird. Obviously, you had some other seniors too, and Sean Haney, Nick Murphy that were on that team too. Talk about, I guess, that senior class and playing with them.
Yeah, I mean, you played with them your whole life, every single one of those guys. So when things come to an end like that, it's sad. But it was always a fun group to play with. Few different characters. I mean, Zach Lair was a completely different person than Matt and Nez. Both awesome guys. They were a blast to play with. You hate to see it end, but you're thankful for the friendship and the memories that you have with them. For the rest of us, is like we all went into the baseball season after that. So I mean, you're not going to play hockey together anymore. But it was like, all right, well, if we're done with that, that stinks. But it's time to go play baseball now. And
Monday afternoon.
Yeah, right. And you're best friends with the crew, so it's not like you're partying in college and saying goodbye and moving away from each other forever or something. Like, we're still to this day as tight as we were as when we were 9 years old, at the rink every day. So, yeah.
I still remember Zach Laird's last shift.
I was just gonna say we got to bring that up when begging Kuchar to go on the ice, and Mike Olson, the athletic director, told Kuchar like he can't go on the ice, like he's gonna get into a fight. Because Zach was that type of kid, and he's like, Cooch, I promise, nothing will happen. Oh, it happened. He went in, guy gets hit. I can't remember who got hit, but Laird comes in there flying, throwing fists, and I remember Cooch just like with his hands in his head in his hands, just like, what is going on?
Yeah, because I think Cooch is like, he let all of us seniors go out for the last shift. And so Laird came out, and I don't know if Laird hit the kid. I think the kid retaliated on Laird, but then Laird unleashed on him with a broken wrist.
Yeah.
Well, for some reason, Zach Laird liked it was kind of like fight afternoon or fight morning at Mariucci, because the year before he had some jiu-jitsu moves, let's just say it that way, which suspended him for the first 2 games of his senior year.
Oh, that's right. I don't remember the suspension.
Yeah, unfortunately it was, but yeah. For you, Ben, what was it like, I guess, the last time you got to at least play hockey with your brother, Bo?
Yeah, it was an awesome 3 years that we got to play together, and just that group. I hung out a lot with Andrew and Bo, and the junior class was a big part numbers wise of the team, but we had Bo and Andrew and Zach Laird, Matt Inez were big contributors in that, and so it was, I would say, probably the tightest team that I was a part of in Little Falls, just getting along and enjoying being at the rink every day with those guys. So it was a really special group, and we didn't reach the ultimate goal, but what we accomplished really kind of helped put the program even more on the map than it was, and kind of set things up for the next year as well.
And for you, Andrew, since obviously it's your senior year, talk about what it meant for you to be coached by Tony Kuchar, John Majurley, Bob Stark.
Yeah, what a great staff. They all gelled really well together when we were with them. Tony, I'll say, of all the coaches I've had, and going even through college baseball, Tony's been the best coach I've had, in the sense of getting to know his players and really showing that he cares about his players. And he was the best at that, and I thank him a lot for that. And he's fantastic. Starkey, same way. He was as good as it gets. He wouldn't mind tussling and wrestling with the boys. If you want to, over at Kuchar's, or hitting kids in practice a little bit, roughing them up. You get a lot, especially with like Starkey and Majurley. They both like to do some hunting and some fishing, so you had things to talk about with them. But everybody just, the coaches, we were good to them, and they were really, really good to us, I think. And we appreciated them a lot.
when we talked with the 93 team, which was John Majurley's second year as the head coach, those guys talked a lot about the perception of the hockey team around school, that they were just a bunch of hoodlums. When you guys were going through, what was the perception around school of the hockey team?
I think we all had a pretty good perception for the most part. And we got a lot of people to come to our games, a lot of students and parents, people part of the community. And it seems like every game, even not just the home side, but the away side, had people from Little Falls at the games. I think that's a pretty good tell on what kind of people that we were. I think we're pretty good kids for the most part.
You also are dealing with, you had some other winter activities, specifically boys basketball and Nordic skiing, that were also having some pretty good success at that time. Nordic skiing more on the girls' side, but the boys basketball team, was there a sense that amongst your grades there that going to the state tournaments was just what we do in Little Falls in the wintertime? I mean, talk about just kind of having 2 sports or 3 sports with a lot of success in school at that time.
Yeah, it was great. We got to miss a lot of school, but we had good friends on the basketball team, like Ryan Thilquist, Ryan Voss were on those basketball teams that we're still friends with today and see a lot. And so it was a lot of fun being able to be in those winter sports, and you just had a ton of success at the athletic level and cheering each other on. I remember I think they played St. Thomas that year as well in the state tournament. And we were all down there the next week or 2 weeks later to support them. And it was just a really cool time within the program, to the athletic department, to have those many teams go into the state tournament in the winter.
Great.
Yeah, those games at the would it be Hollenbeck Hall is where their section finals were for basketball. I remember sitting first row with everybody on this call at those games, cheering everybody on. That was those games were just as much fun to go to and watch and support them. And yeah, there was a lot of mutual respect. And it's too bad we played on a lot of the same nights, because we weren't playing games, we would have been at basketball games cheering those guys on. Like Ben said, we were really good friends with the basketball team and everybody else. And as athletes, it just wasn't guys that played for a single sport. Like, we were athletes all as a group, not just competing against each other, trying to get more people in the stands or something. Like, we were equally happy for the other team's successes.
Well, guys, it was a lot of fun talking about the 07-08 season. It was a great year. You brought some hardware home. Couple final notes here. Ben Hanowski finished his career 89 goals, 148 assists for 237 points. Number 3 on the Flyers all-time scoring list. For you, Andrew, you had 11 goals, 20 assists for 31 points. Zach Laird, 18 goals, 19 assists for 37 points. And Matt Inez, 7 goals, 30 assists for 37 points. Pretty good senior year for you 4.
Yeah, it was a fun year. I would have liked to have been born a year later. Wouldn't mind being part of that old, the rest of these guys' crew, the 09 crew.
And that's what we're going to talk about next. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, James.